Welcome to Dear Warriors. My name is Amy Vega, and I am your host. I have worked in the plasma industry for over 20 years. Throughout my career, I was blessed to have worked with the most incredible employees and met the most amazing donors and recipients of plasma. This podcast was started to bring to light what had been in the shadows, the rare disease community. Join me on Dear Warriors, where we will share stories of warriors and so much more. Hello everyone, it's Amy from Dear Warriors. Today, Allie and I get together and finally start this topic on leaky gut. So what is a leaky gut? A leaky gut is a condition where the lining of the small intestines becomes damaged to the point where it starts leaking pathogens and bacteria and toxic waste into the bloodstream. Most people feel fatigue, they have joint pains, bloating, diarrhea, some people get headaches, skin rashes, even acne. Some people are highly sensitive to foods, and Allie explains brain fog. And some people actually experience anxiety and malnutrition. In this episode, Allie explains her experience with having a leaky gut. Hi, Allie. How are you?
I am good. Thank you, Amy. It's Friday. We made it.
We made it. Absolutely. I am. It looks like it's going to snow out here. It's kind of like, if you see me, I'm wearing a sweater, I'm wearing a hat. It's like cold. It's like misty, like there's snow in the mountains. So we get, usually when there's snow in the mountains, we'll get that haze of like ice, and it's cold.
You can send that here. I like the cold weather.
You do like it? I don't like cold weather. I lived in New York all my life and I couldn't stand it.
I like the cold weather. It seems like with my health conditions, I seem to do better in the cold. However, there is a caveat to that. I have to be careful though, and I'm sure other listeners can identify with this. If I get too cold and my core gets too cold, then I'll have a Raynaud's flare and I'll maybe lose a finger, or I'll be in the danger of losing a finger. So as much as I like being cold, there are boundaries to that. I can't be as cold as I want to be because I have had several scares with a Raynaud's flare where your core gets to be too cold and your body can't regulate your temperature, and it takes the heat from your digits, from your fingers and toes.
Wow. I never heard that before. I always learn something new with you. You know that?
It was terrible. I was at a craft fair and it was okay to be outside, Amy. It's not like we were out in the cold and there was no other schmuck out in the cold. It was cold, but we were properly dressed and there were plenty of other people futzing around at the craft fair. But for whatever reason, my fragile little hardworking vessel got too cold in the center, and all of a sudden my finger started to really, really, really hurt. And I looked down, and from the top, working its way down, the color started to go out. It was bone white from the top, working its way down, and the pain was excruciating. And I freaked out, and my parents freaked out, and we ran to the car, and I was freaking out in pain. My finger was just dying in front of me, and we got in the car, and I think we called my aunt, who's kind of my health guru, who has a lot of the same health problems that I do. And she said, "Oh, it's Raynaud's. You gotta warm your core, and you need to have cayenne pepper and water." The cayenne, she said, would help revitalize my circulation. So from that day forward, I realized that I have Raynaud's, or that my body is susceptible to Raynaud's flares. I guess I was diagnosed with Raynaud's at that point. And so now whenever the temperature gets to a certain point, I have to say to myself, I guess I'll overdress and take the chances of being a little hot than be cold and take a chance of maybe losing a finger.
Oh, I love watching the snow. I love, like, if I open up my blinds, you could see the snow caps, right? They're beautiful. And when I was in New York, I used to love, I mean, that we had so much snow, right? Brentwood, Long Island, lots of snow. It looked so pretty from the window, but I hated stepping into it. And back in the day, they never shut the schools down. We had to
Oh,
walk. I remember it was just thinking about it. We had to walk to school. The buses were out, but the schools were never closed. And we had to walk in the snow, and the snow would go into your boot because my mom would get me like a knee high boot, but it still got in there. That's how deep the snow was. And now schools close for a dust. But back then in New York, they never, back in the times where like ancient Flintstone, when I was going to school,
geez,
we
Amy.
we never shut down. We never shut down. School never shut down. No matter what was going on, there was school. And so I guess I just became mad at the cold. I couldn't wait until we left New York. I love New York and the New York style. I just can't stand the cold. And it just, ugh. And here I am. There's snow cap. It's warm here. It's like, to me, it's cold, but it's like in the 40s. And I'm cold. You see, I'm wearing a sweater and a hat. But when at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, it is freezing. It's like 30 something degrees.
Oh,
And it's
that's freezing. Oh, that's
so,
freezing.
yes, it's so cold. I can't stand it. It's like my husband's like, well, you wanted to move here, and because we were in Florida, and I'm like, I love it. It's beautiful to look at, but I hate the cold. I hate it.
It is pretty to look at,
It
though,
is.
I have to say.
Especially around, the holidays. I don't know. It just, when you're in Florida, a Christmas tree and sun doesn't go well, but a Christmas tree and a beautiful snow-capped backyard where the tree is glistening. I don't know. There's just something with Christmas
Oh,
and snow.
it
It just
sounds
looks better.
idyllic. It looks great, and it gives you that cozy feeling. I know it's symbolic of freezing temperatures, but it warms your heart, I
Yeah,
love that
I don't
though.
know. I don't want to see Santa in swimming trunks. I want to see Santa, in the big red coat, and that image of Santa is what I remember, and so that's what I want.
It's cold here. Actually, it was colder here yesterday than it is today. It was in the 30s the other day, and here today it was in the 60s. So
Oh,
the
that's not
temperature
too
is
bad. It's
all
kind
over
of,
the place.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But
Anyway, enough of the temperature talk. Let's talk about gut health. Yay!
okay, so yay. Okay.
All
My
right.
allergies are terrible. So let me just pretend like my allergies aren't a problem and move forward. So, gut health. For those of you who are listening who don't know this or who have not heard this, my most favorite slogan regarding gut health is the saying that the gut is the second brain. So I don't know if you've heard that, Amy, but as soon as I heard that, and I think that's been said now in the medical community for kind of a good amount of time at this point. Maybe not a long time. It's kind of a newer phenomenon, but
Yeah.
it's been spread around for a little bit. I can't think of anything truer. The gut is totally the second brain.
Well, I've heard it in a very nasty way, but I like the way you're putting it. So here we go.
So when I say second brain, I mean everything goes back to your gut health. So your emotional health, your ability to balance your personality with your wellness, your ability to concentrate, your ability to think straight, your ability to retain information, your ability to have a healthy cognitive function. It all goes back to your gut health. So whether it's recalling information while you're taking a test or remembering how to get from A to B when you're driving, or, like I said, balancing your emotions. It all goes back to your gut health.
That's
Your
amazing.
gut impacts all those other avenues of your existence. It's amazing to me. And I think that is seriously overlooked. And people do not recognize the sacred value of their guts, Amy. I mean, and I don't blame them because it wasn't communicated. I don't think to the public. It was never
exactly.
There was never a tie between your health in those other aspects and your gut. It was always considered separate things. And now it's come out that it's not separate things, and your gut is directly tied to those other aspects of your existence, your personality, your cognitive function.
No, it's very true. Years and years ago, that gut health thing was not even a topic.
No.
And mood swings was not a topic. I can't focus. I can't concentrate. My skin looks, X, Y, and Z. It is so important to clean your gut. It would make your body. I'm telling you, there's a, when we're offline, I'll tell you what they say. But when that bad boy shuts down, you might as well call it a day, because he rules. And I say he as being, your gut rules. He's the ruler of your body. He controls everything.
Everything. Yes, and I mean, I love that you said skin. So the quality of your skin. So if you're struggling with breakouts or dry skin or oily skin, it can all go back to the gut.
Yes.
And your hair health is also related to your gut. Everything is related to your gut.
It is. It changes you, as you feel different. When you detox, and I know you can't, you explained that the other day, right? But when you fully detox, like you could have a whole week, it takes a while. You just can't take a magical potion and you sit in the toilet all day and that's considered detox. No,
it's much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people who are listening on our radio station, I would imagine struggle with a leaky gut. And that's something else that I wanted to talk about today. And for those of you who don't know what a leaky gut is, in my mind, this is how I've always tried to explain it to myself and to others, either family or friends who are unfamiliar with the phenomenon. But a leaky gut to me is like a bucket, a rain bucket, let's say, that has holes in it. And so when you put stuff in the bucket, if you have a leaky gut and you pour stuff into the bucket and there's holes in the bucket, then it's not going to just stay in the bucket. When you pour things in there, it's going to have a chance to escape and go to other parts of your body where they shouldn't go.
Absolutely.
And those are the conflicts that cause the severe allergic reactions and the hives and the histamine problems and the IBD and the constipation and the hair problems, the skin problems. A lot of those things are tied to a leaky gut. You're not getting the nutritional benefits that you need because you're not absorbing the food properly, and you're not fulfilling your body's nutritional needs to thrive. You're pouring it into a bucket that has holes in it, and so it's like you're not even eating the food, and it's just harming you. Those particles go all over your body in places where they shouldn't and wreak havoc.
It does. I do not eat pork. I have not eaten pork in years. I'm a Hispanic who doesn't eat pork. That is a shameful thing to say, but I read a book, and the pork meat is probably the closest to the human meat, right? Mm-hmm. So when you eat it, it does something inside your body. Like literally, it takes a long time to digest. So when it finally digests, and if you have a leaky gut, people that are listening, it almost turns into worms. It's like a bacteria that grows onto this pork. And I know it's horrible, but there's a book. It's it's a disgust. It's you have. I'll tell you offline. It literally will shows that it turns. You could. There's worms in your system. This is somebody that, I mean, it's been proven that it's the pork meat. And people eat pork all the time, and I think I've gone over 10 years now without eating pork. As soon as I found out that situation was running
going on inside,
the thought of worms in my body, just kill me. Just go ahead, stab me, kill me. So can you just imagine learning about that? Learning about and I hate to do this because I don't like fast food is fast food, right? You eat
yes,
fast. But
yeah,
you could take a McDonald's hamburger and leave it in your car and nothing happens to it. You want to know why?
it's not real food.
Exactly. Or a McDonald's fry. You could take a McDonald's fry and it looks exactly the same way a week later in your car. And that's what we are feeding ourselves, right?
I know. And so that's the other thing. A lot of those foods, I guess for those of us who don't have it occurring from a medical condition, you can trigger a leaky gut by eating those inflammatory foods. And so if you're susceptible to having a leaky gut, if you go out and eat the most processed food you can find, chances are you will poke holes in your rain bucket and you will have a leaky gut.
Right. And that stuff is just floating around in your body.
It's awful. It's like you're releasing poison. A group of poisonous agents all throughout your body, and you will have a whole cascade of negative symptoms as a result. Leaky gut, to me, is one of the worst things to fight through. Having a leaky gut is awful. I mean, struggling with chronic pain is hard, but having a leaky gut is just, it is probably, I think, the most fierce of all the monsters that we talk about. I think having a leaky gut is up at near the top of the list because it impacts so much of your existence and your health. It's like, having the headquarters shut down at the FAA or whatever. How can you fly a plane if you don't have your team of
real fuel,
top line participants ready to push buttons and take action? If they're out of commission, then your planes are grounded.
Right. And with the rare disease community, I have come across a lot of people with intestinal issues. And it's not because of immune suppressant. It's not because of Lyme's. Let's just say it's not because of your Lyme's disease. It's not because of PID. It's just something. It's just it's like a sub condition that happens.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
and that has to. And a lot of people don't know to check. A lot of people don't know to check. No. And so we're here today for those that are in autoimmune or immune suppressed, PID, all the rare disease folks that are out there. Check your gut.
Yes, check your gut.
It'll probably make you feel better.
It's trying to tell you something.
Right.
So if you haven't been able to decipher the message that it's trying to give you, maybe what we talk about tonight will help you figure out what it's telling you. But if you're experiencing fatigue, brain fog, skin irritation, allergies, rashes, hives, headaches, joint pain, edema. Amy, yes. Edema is a huge one. So if you're feeling like the Michelin Man and your legs are like elephant trunks and you are clearly in a state of chronic inflammation, please investigate the health of your gut, because there is a very good chance your gut health is seriously compromised.
So when you had told us the last time that you can't do your normal detox, right? Because detox would kind of knock you out. So how would you detox since you have to use your own special detoxification program?
So, so thank you for that. A couple things that I like to do. One of my favorite things I like to do is lemon water. So if you put a little bit of lemon in your water, it helps you to detox, and it doesn't seem to trigger a leaky gut. So for some reason, if I drink too much water, just regular water, good quality water, it will trigger a leaky gut in me. And I can feel the water going into my face, into my arms, into my legs. It's amazing. It just goes right through the holy rain bucket and everywhere else. But if I add a little bit of lemon to it, it seems to prevent a leaky gut from occurring, which is the craziest thing to me. But that's been true for as long as I can remember. So if anyone else out there has lived that way too, I would love to hear from you, because it's been the strangest thing living a life where I have to, decide whether or not I want to chance it and drink the water, or if I want to wait till I can add lemon to it. Because
Right.
I don't want to trigger a leaky gut. And I can tell almost instantly if I'm with a family member and I drink a bunch of water and it doesn't go over well, you can see it in my body. I blow up like a balloon. It's like I'm having an allergic reaction to the water. It's the most amazing thing.
What? That's crazy.
It's true. It's so crazy, but it's true.
Oh, but I can totally see that, because there was a time that I was drinking water. Like, we talk about fitness, right? And we've talked about how obsessed we were or are. And so we drink a lot of water, and, they tell you have to drink like half your body weight, blah, blah, blah. And I'm drinking. And I'm like, it's all over me. It's in and my husband's like, there's something wrong with you. You're like, your ankles are swollen. And I'm like, I don't know how. I drank all this water, and oh my God, that's
Amy,
amazing. You know what? This whole entire week, I'm gonna squeeze a little lemon in there.
try
See
the
what
lemon.
happens.
Tell me. Yes, because seriously, if I were to put two glasses next to each other and take a drink of the one without and the one with, it would be a world of a difference. So
Oh my God.
it's crazy. So that's one of my favorite things to do, and it's easy to do too. So that doesn't take that much effort.
So when you drink, don't you make a lot of broths? That's what.
Yes.
Because that's your blog, right? You did a lot of bone broth and stuff.
Yeah.
How does that react to you?
So I have to be careful with how long I cook it for. If I cook it for too long, then it just becomes a big pot of hot histamines, and I'm basically just drinking an allergic reaction. So I have to cook it high and fast, and then I usually try to freeze it relatively soon after I've cooked it so I can stop the process of growing more histamine. Because if I let it sit or I let it cook for too long, the histamines build up, and it no longer becomes healing to me. It becomes actually harmful. And by drinking it, I will have a histamine reaction because my body doesn't process histamine properly. So I will overdose on histamine. And that actually happened to me earlier during the pandemic, Amy. I was drinking a lot of broth, and my health took a huge nosedive, and I was having migraines, and my bedspread was too heavy on my body. I couldn't even sleep with my sheet. It was too painful. My skin was just my skin was so inflamed. My body was so freaked out from the histamines, Amy, that I couldn't even sleep with my cover. And I thought, what is going on? And I realized, oh my gosh, I've been having, because I read the box and it says slow cooked for, 24 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been drinking these every day. Oh my gosh, my histamine levels have to be through the roof because it accumulates. And that's the other part of my theory. I'm doing air quotes because I don't know that it's an actual textbook theory, but it's what I've seen in my body. When I say rain bucket, you have the rain bucket in your system, right? And then when it's leaking, it has holes in it. But so then with histamine, it's the same idea, and you don't want to overfill your rain buckets, because once you overflow your rain bucket with the histamine, you become very symptomatic. So if I had maybe had one carton over the course of a week, and then maybe another carton the second week, but not more than that, I may have been okay. I may have not overloaded my rain bucket, but because I was having it all the time, I very quickly filled my rain bucket, and things were getting very ugly, and I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then I went back and looked, because I usually say to myself, well, if things are really bad, it has to be tied to something that I'm eating. It has to be.
Right,
and that was the only thing I was eating. Yes. And
gut rules.
And I looked at the box, and as soon as I saw that, Amy, my heart just sank, and I thought, wow, okay, oops, I think I just totally sabotaged myself with too much histamine. So I stopped drinking it, and once it got out of my system, I was kind of feeling like a human again. But man, oh man, like I said, you just have to listen to your gut, and if something is wrong, it will try to tell you. And so you asked me about broth. So just broth is another good way to detox as well. But if you make your own broth and you think you have a histamine problem, cook it high heat for a short period of time, get it cooled, and put it in jars and freeze it. You do not want it to sit in the refrigerator and build up histamine, or the healing properties of it for you will go way down. And you won't be drinking liquid gold. You'll be drinking liquid kerosene, and you will basically light your insides on fire. So you do not want to do that, because that's how I've thought of it too, Amy, or that's how I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of people describe it. When you have chronic inflammation, there's a chronic fire burning inside. So you certainly don't want to let your broth become kerosene. No, that's sacred broth right there, with healing vitamins from the bone. If you use chicken, and if you don't use chicken, you can also do vegetable broth, and you could probably add, I'm sure you could add, and you would probably be able to chime in on this, you could probably add some sort of either a nutritional powder, or you could probably get those nutrients from other
herbs
foods
and stuff. Yes.
Yes.
You can probably do like a sage or a cilantro, or, just the leafy to add to it, add flavor, but properties as well.
And I don't think the histamine goes as high if it's just vegetable. So that's another thing to note. The histamine goes up when there's an animal product involved. So that's why, if you're really sensitive like me, if you're out there listening, super sensitive gut, if you make homemade broth, just remember it's the timing of it that really, really, really matters. So you don't want to let it sit. You don't want to leave it in the fridge for too long, or it will become harmful, and it'll trigger a leaky gut, and you don't want to do that.
So when you go shopping, are you looking at these labels? Is there a specific, you're sensitive to a lot of things, so you have to shop specifically if you're doing chicken, right? So you can't just go to like a Walmart and just pick up any chicken. You actually have to like label read and figure out which brand is the best for you, correct?
Yes. Yes, because another thing, Amy, crazy, right? But some places, when you see a cooked chicken, air quotes again, it's not just a cooked chicken. If you pick it up and read the label, there's 50 other things in it. And some of them are real food, and some are not real food. And it's become a product, I will say, Amy, instead of just a chicken.
Right.
So if I were to do that would be absolute sabotage, 100%. So it's more limiting. I have to either cook it myself or seek a store that has different options.
Like a Whole Foods
or you just wait to eat. That's the other thing. I would hope listeners chime in for that part of the story as well. But sometimes if the options aren't there that are safe, then you just don't eat. Because sometimes, depending on what it is, it could take you weeks to recover. I mean,
right.
That's the other thing, depending on what kind of mess you get yourself into, sometimes, most of the time unintentionally, it can take a long time to fully put the fire back out. Once you ignite it, it can take a little while. Depends on how bad we're talking, but you don't want to do that. So homemade broth is good for detoxing, Amy. Lemon water is terrific. I did mention this on one of our other episodes, and I'm pretty sure if you give me the wiggle room, I'm probably going to mention it a lot. So I will also mention castor oil again, because it's excellent for detoxing. And at some point, we can talk more about how to rub it on and deliver healing messages to your system. I truly believe that's the process to do it. But that's another way to detox. That detoxes the liver, I believe, because I try to rub it. I try to be mindful of where I'm rubbing it, and that helps. It actually is one of the only ways. I don't think I said this. So see, I'm already introducing something new about castor oil. It moves the lymphatic system. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it actually moves your lymphatic system, which is crazy because most people only know to move the lymphatic system by actually moving. But castor oil is some magical oily substance from heaven on earth, and it actually moves your lymph without you having to move. So if you don't have the energy or the strength, or you're too fatigued to move your lymph, which going for a gentle walk I will always recommend, but only if you have the strength to do it, because rest is always more healing than exercise. You can quote me on that. I will always hold true to that. I do believe that for a fact. But if you don't even have the strength to go for a gentle walk, rub castor oil on and do your magical rubbing and healing and heating pad, and you will move your lymph without actually moving, which is the other reason that I like castor oil so much.
Have you used fish oil?
Yes, I have. That's another good one too.
I remember my grandma. Jeez, Louise, I told you it's old school. Castor oil and fish oil were very old school, but the healing properties for fish oil are so big. It's very big in the fitness industry. Yes. In the fitness industry, we use a lot of fish oil, right?
Yes.
It helps move things along, and it helps clean your gut, and it helps with a lot of things. But a lot of people don't know that fish oil, it helps with brain activity as well. So for people that are in the older fish oil in the older ages, fish oil is really good for you because there's no science behind it. There's a concept that fish oil does help with, dementia and a lot of brain situations that happen, memory situations that happen as you age.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I remember my grandmother making us hold her, like we used to pinch our nose and she used to give us the fish oil and we used to drink and keep going, but she made us do it. And back then a lot of the older people were they lasted longer because you know why? Because they drank fish oil and castor oil. They used it. They just my grandfather was like 104 years old before he passed away. My grandmother, the same thing. They just last a long time. They live off the land.
Exactly.
They didn't eat all this processed food, and they just ate healthy. It's just different back then. I don't even think the soil can give us good food these days because it's just so bad out there.
I totally agree, which is all the more reason to do everything you can to treat your gut like royalty. It is so crucial. So crucial. So another thing for detoxing. Epsom salt baths are good, Amy. They're great. So putting Epsom salt in a hot bath and then allowing yourself to sweat is terrific.
Oh.
That's another great way to detox. And if you do that and you think that there's a chance you're really going to trigger a major release, I would suggest listeners having a cup of lemon water nearby so you don't get dehydrated, because it can really, depending on how much salt you put in there.
Oh, that makes sense.
A couple cups or a little bit, it will deplete you like big time. So you want to have something nearby so you're not passing out in the bathtub.
That's great. You know what? My mother, one time, I think it was after I had Ashley, she said that I needed to soak in Epsom salt, or before Ashley, I don't know. And because I was a puffer lump like I told you my body rejected my pregnancy with Ashley. So I was like
Yes.
swollen and everything. And they did that. They did Epsom salt. But eh, honestly, I went in like a puff a lump and I came out like the Michelin man. I came out even more puffier. It was like there was no release. I had to be rushed to the hospital. But I have been in baths like that and I just come out even more puffy. Is that like crazy?
Okay, so that's happened to me too, and I think it depends on the temperature of the water.
Okay.
If I'm not careful, I end up coming out of it looking like I've had an allergic reaction. And so
Yes.
yes, and so there's you have to kind of hit it at the right temperature in order for it to be beneficial and for me to actually sweat. Otherwise, I don't sweat at all, and I come out of it looking like the Michelin man. So
Okay. I thought it was
so
just me.
I've been there. I've totally been there. No, and so another thing. You just reminded me, Amy. Another great way to detox is a sauna. So I don't know if listeners, if anyone out there, if you have access to one, I guess this is a little bit of an unusual circumstance because of the pandemic. So I don't imagine you'll be sitting in someone's sauna. But if you ordered one online, they sell these little one-person body tents, I'm going to call it, because you can kind of zip yourself up in it and your cute head is sticking out. An infrared sauna is a fabulous way to deep detoxify your system. It goes way deep. It goes way into your cells and totally detoxes you. And when I do that, I look like death when I come out.
I need to do that. And they sell this. I need to get one.
Yes, so offline I will share some of the resources with you so you can get one. They're brilliant, and they sell. I think they might sell pads too, Amy, like some sort of detoxing heating pad kind of thing. It's not the tent that I was telling you about, but there are all kinds of different models now, and it's a terrific way to detox. I mean, I love it, but if you do that, again, you have to remember that you're extracting from way deep within. And if you're going to do that, then you have to have water. And I am terrible at this. I'm preaching about something that I don't even practice. I'm not even practicing my own words of wisdom here. But I'm telling you, from watching myself, if you're going to do it, and if you sit in there for 20 minutes and you work your way up to 40 minutes and you work your way up to an hour, you have to think about how much fluid you're losing and all of the vitamins and nutrients. So you want to possibly have electrolyte water, Amy, nearby, either right outside of the sauna or in there with you while you're sweating this out. But it drains you, and it's not a bad thing. But if you don't have water, then you're not going to finish the cycle. You're going to go in there, wring everything out with this deep, deep detox. And if you don't drink enough fluid to help actually pull it out, then it's just, you're not actually going to deplete your body of that bad stuff. It's just going to get stuck on the way out. So you got to carry it all the way through by staying hydrated after you've done all that extraction. You gotta drink.
Have you seen the I don't know, it's they do it more on like in the like foot salons. They have like this bucket and they put this thing on you and you put it in there and the water turns a different color.
Yes.
And it kind of pulls from your feet. And there's actually a pad.
I've always wanted to do that.
Me too.
Yes. Somebody told me, Amy, that it was one of the most effective ways that they've experienced to detox. It's doing it through their feet. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it turns like they have like a
Before
chart.
and after. Yeah.
And it tells you if the water turns green, you're this. If it turns brown, you suffering from this and that. And they have this whole list. I've always wanted to do it, but maybe when we finally get together, we should do it together. It literally will tell you what your body is like, what poisons your body has.
I love that kind of stuff. So we should absolutely do that.
Yeah. I know you can order it online, and a lot of people have done that. They've gone through like the Amazon or whatever and they ordered online, but I actually want to go somewhere to do it. I don't know why. I don't know.
I would love to go with you. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a detox addict. So let's see another thing. What else have I covered? Uh, stretching. So yoga, and I say that with a caveat too, Amy. So at least for me and other listeners, please chime in. But I have to be careful with that too, dang it. Sometimes if I do yoga that's not right for me, it'll trigger a leaky gut. So if I'm doing downward dog or something, my legs will turn into elephant trunks. So I have to be careful of the kind of yoga. So when I'm telling you listeners now to stretch and do yoga, be mindful and only do what works. So if it looks really pretty online or you're watching a video of somebody doing it, it looks awesome and you want to do it too. If you start doing it and things don't feel right, don't do it. Don't do it. You will end up causing more of a problem than taking away a problem. I mean, if you are so desperate to feel relief, sit on the floor and pull in one direction, then pull in the other direction, and tighten your body and release it. You could try isometrics. So that's something that I've been looking more into because for whatever reason, I do not do well with a lot of yoga. If I'm not careful, it seems like for me, I don't know if it's I'm pretty sure it stems from a leaky gut because that's the king of all of these things.
That's what I said. It's the king.
But if it also, again, I say this to myself and then I try to rationalize and I say, no, I'm pretty sure it's a leaky gut, but it's also, I think I have poor circulation. And when I stand up, I can't, my body just can't bring things back. So my legs just collect the fluid. And so even if I'm doing yoga, it ain't good. And I trigger a leaky gut and I'm sicker leaving than I was starting. And I would have been better off sitting outside on a park bench and getting the fresh air for 15 minutes and then walking back. So, it's doesn't even have to be a long walk because you don't want to trigger inflammation, Amy. That's the whole point. And so when I say yoga is good for detoxing, just stay within your zone, people, because if you're doing it and it doesn't feel right, then there's a good chance it's not right.
Right. You have to, again, be your own champion. Listen to your body. Well, listen to your gut.
Listen to your gut. It'll tell you.
Yeah. So do you believe in that whole, a lot of people say that massages, like full body massages, detox. It's a form of detox. There's like stuff that's like on the lining of underline of your skin and between your muscles that the people that are massaging you are like breaking these things down and getting them back into your system so you can waste it. And I noticed that a lot of people do that. They do some type of
massage.
Yeah, they do
lymphatic massage.
Yes. Have you tried that?
I'm so glad you asked. So I actually had a lymphatic massage a few years back. And I was sick as a dog after, and I don't know, I think that might mean that it worked, or I don't know, but I was so ill. And I drove myself to the appointment because I didn't think anything of it. It was a massage, so whatever. I didn't have anyone drive me. I didn't take an Uber. I drove myself. And I wasn't really feeling that great when I left. And then as I was driving home, I felt sicker and sicker, and I thought, oh, just make it home. You're almost there. And I was as sick as a dog when I got home. And I thought, okay, so +1 for killing off bacteria, -1 for feeling awful as a result. So it's really hard for me to know when to say that was really productive and healing and when to say that was more destructive. It's hard to say. And I hope others can chime in on this as well, but for me, I always have a hard time figuring out if that was productive and useful and helpful and helped with my inflammation and I just had to get through to the other side, or if by triggering that and getting that ill, does it become counterproductive? That's always, for me, it's always like, should I have let it go that far? Should I not do it again? Was it good that it went that poorly after? Does that mean that I killed an army of Lyme bacteria in my shoulder blades or my knee joints or whatever? Because I know that they're hidden all over. And so when I feel that ill, Amy, I'm always like, well, okay, so that had to have been good, right? But was it good? At what point does the bad become bad? And at what point do you know when the bad is still good? It's hard to say. So I never did it again. I got so sick after, I thought.
Did it hurt? You know, like regular massage, you have your deep tissue massage, you have your...
I told her to be gentle because I have Ehlers-Danlos and I have problems with my connective tissue. So she may not have gone full throttle with her massage because ahead of time, you know, they have you fill out that paperwork. It's like, if you have any pre-existing conditions. So of course I overshared and wrote everything. And when I went back there, she was like, oh, okay, so I see you've got, yeah, okay. I said, because also I have to say that, because if I don't, I could end up injuring myself or something because I'm so fragile that something that's good could actually end up harming me, and then it could take me weeks to recover. So I kind of thought, let me just err on the side of being fully transparent and tell her I'm a fragile vessel, but I also can't detox. So if you could fragilely help me detox, that would be great. And again, I think she was very considerate of my body, but whatever she did, she obviously did something, because she moved stuff out and I was so sick. So sick.
The recovery, was it a week recovery or
a couple 2
days?
days, maybe.
Okay. And then you felt better?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something that's in my bucket list. I have to do that.
I would definitely try it. And I don't know, you might not be as sensitive as me, Amy, but I would absolutely try it. It was worth it. Because you have to figure, if she did that and moved stuff around and I got rid of it,
right,
then it was worth it.
Yes, yes. A lot of people do that before they engage in heavy weightlifting and fitness. And I told you I was trying to go back. I want to go full because my goal is to get really big. I don't want to be skinny. I don't want to be curvy. I've done that. That's a part of my life I've already done. That's a journey that I don't want to go there. I just want to get big, like big arm, big, big, big. But I have, I have that type of skin that I feel like if I get that type of massage and get that out, I'll probably do better.
Oh, Amy, I 100% think you should give it a whirl. Seriously.
I'm going to do that. And I don't know if I could video, but at least I'll FaceTime you and you can see.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear how it goes. Yeah. And let's see, have I covered? Oh, acupuncture is good too. Acupuncture is another good thing for healing and detoxing. Have you ever tried acupuncture?
No, I was recommended. I told you I had back surgery, and so somebody recommended that for pain. They said to try it.
Yeah, so I got it for a while, and you kind of have to get it enough that it starts to build its efficacy. And I would say if you don't get it frequently enough, then you may not really experience the full benefits of it. And I was getting it, and I used to go in and he'd say, so what do you want to focus on? And I'd say, the only thing I need you to focus on is my legs. That's where a lot of my inflammation sits. That's where my elephant trunks are. If you could just poke as many holes in my legs as you can, I would be so grateful. So in my mind, with every needle, I was like, okay, so you're going to just help the fluid come out. So just poke as many holes as you can. And it definitely helped with the edema in my legs, for sure. I kind of wish I had kept it up because...
Nice.
it helped. And I think some of that is probably I'm triggering some of that healing powers by telling myself when he pokes those holes, it's poking legitimately healing holes.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
So if that's what you go into it thinking, then that's what you're going to get from it. And what's the harm in that? So if you think that you need to have holes poked in your legs, because you all are listening right now and you're looking down and you have fluid in your ankles, try poking holes in it from a licensed professional acupuncturist. Don't you go poking holes in your legs, but try going to acupuncture, because of course, I think the first time I got it, Amy, it made me very sick. Once again, he was jolting things around in my...
Right.
What did he call it? He called them... It was so cute. He said, it's kind of a spiritual thing, too, and he would take my arm and he'd feel... I don't know if he was feeling... he'd be, like, sensing my channels or something like that. And he'd
Chakra.
say, And he'd say, this one's kind of clogged. And I would say, I'm not surprised. My legs are really puffy today. Or something like that. I think the first time I had it done, I got so sick. But then once my body said, so you're going to clear the channels? That's cool. It became less harmful and more beneficial.
Oh, I love that. I'm all about meditation and self-healing, and you sit in a quiet area in your house and you just bring that healing power over you. You have to believe in something. You've tried every medicine on earth. The best thing you could think of is, I'm just going to have to do this myself,
Yes, exactly.
Well, look at us, 52. Can you believe it? Well, the message is take care of your gut health. And if you have any questions, you could write to us at mystories@dearwarriors.com. Or if you just want Allie to guide you, just write to her at Allie@dearwarriors.com. We are not just sharing stories on Dear Warriors. Our goal is to help change lives. And when you share this podcast, you are helping to change lives too. Listen to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, and God bless.